Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Previously, we got Gina and her dog Toby off on the trail of Mr. Enoch Drebber, the sham engineer who constructed the fake kinesis machine. We need Drebber to testify in court tomorrow, so while she's doing that, Ryunosuke and Susato went to visit Herlock Sholmes at the Wax Museum. They need answers about why Herlock Sholmes lied to them about the fact that Kazuma Asogi was actually still alive. And that bastard dodged the question! And then that bastard made us pay money to get a look at the wax statue of the professor, that prolific serial killer who killed aristocrats, and also Clint Van Zeeks. But we came back here and the statue's missing its head, so I have a burning desire for answers. Hopefully we get some today. But before we begin, I am pleased to say that according to the Steam achievements, I am, as of the previous video, one of the 11% of players who have seen every argument about ladders and, shovels and spades, yeah. Whatever, let's just look around. Who is this? I kind of see something like golden yellow right here where the eyebrow is.
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
It seems to be a young man in a white overcoat.
And he has a large shovel in his hand too, look.
Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. Oh. Big old camera? Whomstiv is this? Is that a young Enoch Drebber, you think? Could be.
What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with a shovel in a graveyard in the middle of the night?
Miss Susato.
Yes?
That's a spade, isn't it? Well, I don't know what the hell the achievement is doing. Oh, wait. No, it was about ladders and step ladders, wasn't it? The achievement, I mean. I don't know. It's some trivial argument.
No, it's a shovel.
No. Shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel.
No. Although, we haven't considered trowels.
We've allowed ourselves to be distracted, I feel. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement.
So we're going to bury the hatchet. Aha! You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. What's this here?
Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera.
A camera? But it's so small. British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints?
I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera?
I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film.
We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken.
I mean, why would you think there's something there? What's a photographic plate?
It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look.
You should see yourself, Susato-san. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? The back? Oh. That's quite a large lamp the man's carrying. Or is it a lantern? It's not unlike a Japanese, chochin paper lantern, actually, is it?
Lamp, lantern, chochin. The point is, it casts very little light. To be walking alone in a graveyard at night with only this? Well, I certainly couldn't do it.
I'm not sure I could visit a graveyard at all, even in broad daylight, to be honest. But the face... I can't see his face very well, can you? Perhaps if I just...
Oh, do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'll put it back exactly as it was, don't worry.
Ah! What on earth? How can...
I don't believe it. A black monocle. Well... Oh, right. Is it really? Oh, yeah, wow, from this angle, I didn't think the monocle... I thought it was like, just very thin. Yeah, no, that's 100% him. That's Enoch Drebber. That's him. Without a doubt.
Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is...
Yes. It's Enoch Drebber.
The color of his hair is different, but...
It's unmistakably him. Indeed it is? Ah, Mr. Sholmes. This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe. Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head? The convict's in front of him. The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it. What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it? Did I not say so myself? Largely solved are my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head, tout de suite, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry Iris still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ugh!
Do you know, though, something about this room is strange.
Strange? What do you mean?
Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Miss Susato. Do go on.
And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't ever really have happened, could it?
I think it's time I educated you a little about the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago. Finally. Alright, Sholmes, I'll give you credit. Maybe you were skipping out on answers because you wanted to give Ryunosuke and Susato better context after they saw for themselves. Anyway, let's finish looking around.
This must be the killer, the fiend known as the Professor.
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Two Spells said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
I know. It looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Oh! Really? Nothing about the number?
So this is the condemned man.
Yes, the so-called professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Miss Fusato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then perhaps Mr. Shulms absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it.
Oh, we really should have looked at this first. That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum.
That would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. Quite a big piece, too. Oh, son of a... I've seen that thick glass shard before, or at least a lot like them. It's glass from the Crystal Tower. Oh boy. Okay.
It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal window glazing, I'd say.
Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder?
I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength.
But why?
Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example.
Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass was broken, too.
You don't mean...
Exactly. The Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition.
But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxwork's jacket?
It makes you think, doesn't it? Oh boy. Earlier in court we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick. And now we discover this fragment of glass here in this waxwork. Is it just a coincidence? Let's take a closer look at these two. The camera.
What a wonderful machine! It's covered in blood!
Yeah. You really love contraptions like this, don't you?
Oh, yes. Anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible.
Almost irresistible, surely. And I look at this, and all I can think of is the Picto box from The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. Though I know it actually first appeared in Majora's Mask.
Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart.
That's worrying.
Yes, Father tells the time by the rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up having a watch.
Poor Professor Mikotoba.
Look, Mr. Naruhodo.
What is it?
On the bellows just here, there seem to be some very dark red stains.
Yes, you're right. It looks like blood, actually.
Oh my.
I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. When the lens is extended, dark staining is visible on the bellows. Now, notably, The only way the blood could have gotten on there is when it was opened up and primed for photo shooting. So that begs a very significant question. Oh, look, the cover came open.
Yes, now there should be a glass plate inside. You have to change the plate with each new photograph you want to take, you see.
Is something wrong?
There is no plate. It's been removed.
Ah, what a pity. But I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that was used at the time, just like the waxwork isn't the actual person. So we never have found a photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway.
Oh, yes, you're quite right, of course.
Poor Susato-san, she looks devastated. Well, if that proves that this is just a stand-in for the real thing, that means this blood must come from something that happened recently. I don't think it would be the, assault on that unconscious man, necessarily, but you never know. Anyway, the glass. This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it.
If you were to compare it to a human, only Mr. Sholmes has such thick skin.
There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know.
Anyway, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely.
Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure.
Yep. Maybe we can get fingerprints on it, though more than likely it just happened to fall on its own into the shirt of the stolen statue, and no party noticed until now. Nothing in its hand. It almost looks like its hand is supposed to be holding something. That's kind of an awkward way to position your fingers to brace against something you're pushing off of. Something about these fingers rubs me the wrong way. Anyway, elsewhere in the room, let's see. Nothing for the owl? Or the other graves? Oh, guess that was it. Okay. Okay, Sholmes. Speak. I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies. Ah. Okay.
Oh, gosh! An enormous hound! How awful!
After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted. A closed court? So you mean that the professor's identity... As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair.
Oh!
The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life.
Came back to life?
He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events. Also, before the information escapes us, if this graveyard was adjoined to a prison. That means that Mr. Drebber on the left there must have been an employee at the prison? Maybe he was some doctor or even a coroner. Lots of coroner business recently. Between Scythe and whatever the hell novice coroner looked at Cosmo's body on the ship. There was a witness? But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat. Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen. So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber. 10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old. Wait, so he has a full head of gray hair at age 30? And here I am at age 29 with like a few dozen gray hairs. Okay, more like 24 gray hairs and receding hairlines, so maybe it's not that unbelievable.
It's so horrifying.
Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight. Oh, there you go. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white. For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at the Madame Tuspel's. So, if the identity of the professor was never made public, what did the head even look like? Was it just a made-up scary face?
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place. In a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night.
Yes. What was he up to? And another question comes to mind. What was Selden, that criminal who stole 1,000 pounds worth of loot? What was he doing with the collar of the hound used by the professor as a murder weapon? Like, we're all in agreement that's clearly what the dog that ripped out people's throats was, right? The Hound of the Baskervilles? And you know what? That bloody collar, that bloody dog collar, that was so large it must have belonged to a large dog indeed. It was studded with jewels. So was the professor himself part of the aristocracy? Like, I can't imagine he would, like, pilfer it from a body of a dead noble. I mean, it was a dog collar, for Pete's sake. It had to be custom ordered and paid for. Oh, what the hell is going on? The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder. Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had. Yeah, maybe, what the hell is his name? His dog name was Anubis. It was, Sirhan Dogan, yes. Sirhan Dogan, maybe he was a copycat, or A copy dog. But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale.
But why did people stop believing it?
Why, simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact. What do you mean by no resurrection? The police investigated the grave at Millgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
No. Well, that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
Or maybe he saw something else. That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think? Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. Tell that to your best buddy. But Drebber's hair was unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie.
Ah! What the bleedin' Nora, Otto? What have you gone and done?
Bleedin' Nora? Huh?
Gina, what are you doing here? I asked Iris, and she said this is where you'd be, so... Gina, not so loud in the museum.
Madame Two Spells will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful. I think there might be a more pressing concern.
I still had some flesh powder left from 6 months ago, so... Alright, Gina, we understand. But please, put down the gun. Sorry, I got scared.
You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So, what brings you here, Gina?
What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy cove's workshop.
What? You found Drebber's workshop?
Yep. Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in a drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out.
Oh yeah, 'cause she can't read.
Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. All right then, see you there.
You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still.
What?
I know my place in the exhibit over there.
Oh dear, someone is feeling sorry for himself.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes, you're coming. Your words heart me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner plate would be empty. Forget that, I'll pay for everything. Then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once. No offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes, then.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thank you, Mr. Sato. Right, let's go. Well, hey, that's a prototype if I've ever seen one. Huh. Oh, son of a... God damn it. Look at that neon red quiver full of arrows. That makes me really mad because, okay, clearly that's what was used with the crossbow to shoot down the balloon. Which means maybe my theory about Andrew the flathead screwdriver being the fired bolt was just nonsense from the start. I mean, come on.
Look at the shape. Look at it. This bit right here. Oh, you can just see it. It will slot in, and the mechanism of the crossbow would, bam, go up and just shoot it up and look it in that little crevice. Man. That looks like... Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Indeed it would appear so, though only a prototype, naturally.
So you got here then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Toby here, who's the miracle worker.
Bork. Is something wrong with your eyes, sir? Ah, I thought you lot would show up before long. Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. Looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips. You know, I never like putting lemon on fish. When I eat salmon or halibut or cod or any other kind of fish, yeah, I never use lemon. Honestly, I never put lemon on anything. Though I would think lemon would go pretty nice with crispy, battered fish and chips.
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer?
Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here.
Oh, what a shame.
Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate. According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't wanna, say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I? Thank you. Anyway, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak. Them again. I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types. Right. So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. And you, Sholmes. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers. Very droll, Gregson, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then. Let's see what we can find in here. Well, can even look up. What do you want to bet we find some sort of hidden compartments, like some basement or cellar, and Drebber's hiding in there? Anyway, let's actually talk to Gregson first.
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. That machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it, from the Crown and the government.
Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No loose change dropped on the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fellow.
So, do you think she named the dog Toby after Tobias Gregson? I think she did.
British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they?
I think that's just these two, Miss Usato. What on earth is this?
An aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies.
Is that how the trick will be described, is it?
Sorry?
Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it?
Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky.
While suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported.
So to you, the solution is ever taller towers?
Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's an impressive-looking back massager, that's for sure. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist would wish for no higher honor. Ah. Would you like a massage? No, I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing.
I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Dribber than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madame. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not going to let that go, is he?
It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times.
Science trophy added. Who's it for? Hairbrain or Drebber? From his youth, maybe? Royal Society Award. Posturing, burgeoning talent. He, the future of scientific discovery. Something like that. It's actually kind of legible. Huh. On the surface, nothing seems amiss, but what about inside, maybe? No? Can't lift this open? Doesn't... Huh. There's a little metal plaque here, look. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery. Yeah, I nailed it. It seems rather ironic, doesn't it? But... Oh, was that Susato? But clearly Mr. Dripper really was a very talented scientist. Anything else? Nothing? Huh. Well, I guess we'll throw this out in court if Dripper tries to deny that he's smart. Little model train. We'll save that. Save this for last. The quiver. This door doesn't want to open.
Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it. There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here.
With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute.
Well, you don't have permission, and no one's given it to you.
Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that.
Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side.
No, Dripper must have fled at the first sign of danger. Huh. I can look up here at the roof, but there's nothing else to look at. This bit of the machine here is just counted as the lower part. Alright, I think that's everything. To the quiver. This is... It's a European-style quiver of arrows, with steel bolts inside. Ah, yes, bolts. Great.
Oh, do you suppose...
Crossbow bolts, these. And just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds. In other words... Yep, that's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam. Crossbow bolts updated. Crossbow notes updated, rather. Oh, someone's home.
Oh,
Is something wrong, Miss Usato?
well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby?
Bork. Right, mind the grease. Oh. Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard.
Oh my, someone is in there.
Ah, this is Rodden, Bleedin' Lock. My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. Fine, I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door. There, you may enter at will. You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for? Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency. There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear fellow. Yes. Oh. Ooh. What the hell? What the hell? I was about to say that it looks like this place was literally turned upside down, and right as I thought that, I noticed the footprints on the ceiling? What the hell? What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down?
Rats, there ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises.
Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away.
But there's only one door into this room.
And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. What's that up there? Are they footprints on the ceiling? What? How did they get how did the English translation team of this game decide to go with this phrase? What have we here then? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry.
Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what?
to that Professor Hairbrain's barmy machine, is it? Blimey, if we'd had these, there'd have been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal. There is something of great interest here, too. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar. A rope? What's significant about that? Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo. We must investigate the entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive, too. So... what's the dealio with the bomb? There's no denying it, is there? There are footprints. Yes, it would appear so. And I simply can't imagine how they came to be there. Isn't there a Susato shoot-up or something? Like a Susato takedown, I mean. I'm no Wonder Woman, Mr. Naruhodo. That would make her almost superhuman, I suppose. It's a really lovely model. Looks like a real flying balloon. I think it's probably staying aloft in the same principle as a full-size balloon, using gas. A green flying balloon. It does have the hallmarks of that amazing deception at the Great Exhibition, doesn't it? Could it be? The whole thing was planned here in this very workshop? Without doubt. Almost every piece of furniture is upside down. Even Mr. Sholmes' suite isn't ever in this much of a mess. You're in no position to comment on mess, Mr. Naruhodo. But I suppose it's not quite the same thing, is it? I mean, it's not messy in here per se, it's that everything is literally upside down. But why? That's a very large safe. I don't suppose even Mr. Sholmes could open that lock. Although if you were a thief, you could just steal the entire thing, I suppose. Shoutouts to Baldur's Gate 3. I'm still riding the high of my first playthrough of that game. So good. One of my favorite things to do was, like, if I found, like, a chest or some other container that was locked in, like, a town or a city, and it was too risky to have my thief lockpick it, I just pick up the entire thing and put it in my pockets and just go open it at my leisure. So funny. Every time. I loved it. It's bolted to the floor to prevent exactly that sort of underhanded trick, Mr. Naruhodo. Or rather, it's to keep the safe in place while the room turns topsy-turvy? Well then, you could just steal the floor as well, I suppose. I'm sorry, but you really aren't making any sense at all. Anyway, I think we can agree that whatever is inside must be very important. Well, maybe we'll find out what it is in there that will get presented in court tomorrow after the investigation team has a gander at this. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this? Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. Oh, bless him, he doesn't know what it is. It looks like a bundle of thick cigar... Ah! Miss Susato, what's the matter? That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it? What did you say? A time bomb?
Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly?
Huh?
You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo. I won't take that as a compliment.
Huh? You don't know nothing, do you, Otto?
You haven't got a clue what it is either, have you, Gina? I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance.
Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it?
I see, so that's it.
Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter?
There are times when I consider my lot most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. Alright, calm down, Layton. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Miss Usato. Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Dribber himself.
Oh, but how could you...
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor here is without question completely genuine.
Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything.
Oh, do I smell a great deduction coming on? It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade. There's that face again. Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway.
Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madame. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Miss Usato.
Oh, yes, I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Here we go. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Flipped furniture. Right, it's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. Well, the game may be afoot, but I need to pause the game. This is clearly the best place I have to end things for now. I quite imagine that next time we'll get through this, maybe apprehend Dribber and maybe speak to him. And from there, it'll definitely be time to head off to the court. Well, yeah, it really did not feel like it at the beginning of this whole case, but from where I'm standing right now, I feel like this is thoroughly intertwined with the events 10 years ago of the professor, this grand conspiracy at the heart of everything. Ah, man. The dog collar belonged to the hound. The hound belonged to the professor. Selden had the dog collar. How'd he get that collar? Well, I mean, he was a thief. I guess he just nicked it, but... Oh, man. Man, my head's spinning. Dribber. What do you know, Drebber? What do you know? If you really had a picture box with you at the time you quote-unquote saw the body of the professor rise from the grave, did you take a photo? Do you still have that photo? And why was there a blood spatter on the replacement picture box camera at the Wax Museum? What was it really the genuine thing taken from history's hands? So many questions. I want to ask Madame Two Spells. She'd know stuff. She'd know a lot of things. Is Two Spells even gonna be on the witness stand? I don't even think so. She's not relevant at all. Okay, well, no. We'll make her relevant by bringing up the wax statue. Clearly, that stolen wax statue of the professor was taken for a very specific purpose. It was brought to the Crystal Tower. Drebber used it in his ploy for some reason. I know Drebber he must feel like he's had to silently carry a burden for these past 10 years. Carry the fact that he saw, maybe, the professor, thinks the professor may still be out there even. Clearly he was so wrapped up with it that he chose to steal the wax statue of the professor. But why? The only reason I can think he would steal a wax statue was to make a fake Mr. Odie Asman, to fool the crowd into thinking the kinesis machine worked so they could steal the funding and run, presumably. Does that mean the professor looks like Asman? What does it all mean? What does it all mean? This... There have been lots of moments in this franchise where I have been dizzied by swirling pieces of evidence that I can't quite fit together. This might be just one of the worst and most intense instances of that. And by worse, I don't mean that I hate it. No, I love this. I love everything about this. Well... maybe we can scrape together at least one more answer to something next time. Looking forward to that. Hope you are too. I'm Zephyr the Jester. This has been more The Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you next time. So until then, please take care.